Hey guys, in a previous video I mentioned I would do a video about my microdosing experience. First of all, I'd just like to thank some comments left in my previous video. They're really good, they're really helpful. I've had nothing but support and kindness, and it's actually kind of surprising how decent the YouTube community can be. So thank you. So first of all, what is microdosing? For anyone that isn't aware, microdosing is the act of consuming a sub-hallucinogenic dose of a psychedelic, such as magic mushrooms or LSD. And there's benefits to this. It's not just it's not just like taking something. You don't really get high. There's benefits to it, and there's proven science behind it, to do with like the default mode network and how your brain sort of, the default sort of state that your mind gets stuck in, and psychedelics can help sort of unlodge that default state. My first experience microdosing was actually in 2017. It was in sometime around August, September, I think. August, September 2017. I was 27 years old, and I don't remember doing it. I was addicted to diazepam, I was addicted to pregabalin, I was basically an alcoholic. I didn't drink every day, but I needed to drink let's not get into it. So I was addicted to benzos, and I was drinking all the time, and I was addicted to pregabalin, and I was just a complete, absolute mess, absolutely. I'm 3 or 4 years sober now, depends how you measure it. Let's call it 3. But at the time, I purchased 1 single tab of LSD, and I remember making a volumetric solution, which is like it's like a glass, and you just dilute the tab in distilled water and a little bit of I used vodka because to stop the bacteria growth and whatnot. And I took this dose. I woke up really early and I took it, and then I fell back to sleep. And bearing in mind I was addicted to benzos at the time, your memory isn't that good when you're addicted to benzos and pregabalin at the same time. So I had no memory of actually remembering that I took it. So I woke up, like I went back to sleep after I'd taken it. I woke up 2 or 3 hours later, and I remember looking out the window, and I remember having no memory whatsoever of taking that dose. I don't know what the dose was at the time, because it was a long time ago and I didn't record it. But the dose, I don't know what it was. But I remember looking out the window, and I remember that I felt like a kid that had woken up on Christmas Day, and that all of a sudden this miserable state that I was stuck in of addiction and complete annihilation was pierced through by this there was a change, there was an instant change. I wasn't cured at all, but for the first time I was viewing it from a different perspective, and I was having memories of what it was like before I was in addiction. So basically they made me feel, I remember that I used to think that they made me feel like my old self. And I think I started running at the time, and yeah, it was really good. I can't put everything down to the LSD that I took, but it was a very small dose. I didn't hallucinate or anything like that. I think I did it a few more times maybe, and then I stopped. A lot of the success that I had at the time, I do believe that it was because of microdosing, like a large part of it. not 100% of it, but a large part of it, it must have been something related. I managed to quit pregabalin, and I haven't taken them since 2017. And I started to quit benzos at the time. I did relapse eventually, but for a while I was clean completely. So I had success with that microdosing, and that was just from maybe 3 or 4 times. I microdosed maybe 3 or 4 times. In fact, at the time, I managed to move away for the first time. I was an agoraphobic, so I hadn't left town in a few years. I managed to actually move away to a different town. Now, eventually it went wrong, and I ended up screwing it all up. But for a period of time, I felt almost like a normal human being, which is pretty remarkable, considering the amount of benzos and stuff I was addicted to, and what that does to your brain, and just, and being addicted to benzos, and just being lost and depressed in a deeply sort of messed up, chemically kind of way, where you just can't seem to pierce through that you can't find positivity or anything, because you've just been on this drug that mutes everything, and it's just messy. But anyway, so I did use mushrooms 1 or 2 times, very low dose microdoses. I think they were strong microdoses actually at the time, and I had no problem with them. I don't think they was as powerful as the LSD experience, but But basically I stopped microdosing because I thought that, I didn't recognize at the time maybe the success was from the microdosing. So I didn't microdose again. My life went downhill. I relapsed on the benzos. Bearing in mind I didn't microdose for that long. So once I stopped, the benefits, I hadn't been doing it for long, so I think the benefits started to fade. And a few months later I relapsed. But I had stressful life events as well. So a combination of things caused me to relapse. And then I got clean again 8 months later or something. I've been sober and clean for 3 years. 4 if you exclude 1 relapse. I think that back then, if I had stuck to the microdosing, maybe I wouldn't have relapsed. Maybe I would have coped with certain events better. Because I was still in a pretty, I still wasn't in a state where I could function too good. So I didn't microdose again in 2018 or 2019. I did a very small microdose in 2020, and then I didn't do it again. I didn't get any benefits from it because it was too low. And I didn't start microdosing properly again until recently, in 2022, late 2022. And I remember one experience where recently, which was still a low microdose, it was only about 25-30 milligrams, so 0.03 grams of mushrooms. I've only been using mushrooms this time. And I was able to enjoy music for the first time in a long time. I hadn't listened to music for 2-3 years at all. It was like it didn't bring me any pleasure. And since the last few weeks, I've been listening to music more and more. So it feels like it brought back the enjoyment of music. So that's one benefit that I've definitely had, and that's probably a good sign. Yesterday I microdosed 85 milligrams of mushrooms, which is 0.085 grams. And yeah, here I am today. And I'm definitely not cured of anything whatsoever, but I did feel a little bit more optimistic when I woke up. I still feel a little bit more optimistic now, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure I do feel a little bit more optimistic about things. It's something that's hard to measure. I feel like I need to increase the dose to really get any benefit. I think that really, at least with mushrooms, I think that maybe the macro, like the higher dosing, is probably a better idea. Like the lower dosing, I don't know whether it works as well as LSD. Some people say that LSD is better for microdosing, and mushrooms are better for macro dosing, or in other words, larger doses. So it hasn't cured anything so far, but bearing in mind it's still low doses, I feel like there has been benefit for sure, like being able to listen to music again. And I'm not putting that all down to microdosing, but it's still quite interesting how I was able to enjoy music again. Since then, I've been going out more. I have agoraphobia, so before I started all this, I was pretty much bedbound. Like I wouldn't want to leave bed, and I'd have panic attacks just going into the other room. And now I can walk, I can go out. I walk 2-3 times a day sometimes. I go on cycle rides. So I'm in a much better place, but I can't put that all down to microdosing. There's probably many things involved with that. So I still feel like there's a lot of healing to do for me personally. I'm gonna keep on increasing the dose. I started on 10 milligrams. I started on 0.01 grams of mushrooms, and now I'm on 0.08. So I'm thinking about doing 0.1 tomorrow, and I should just increase it. But yeah, I think that if you're considering it, and you have like an anxiety problem, I think that, there's no rush, don't push yourself into, just get comfortable with it, and respect the medication. Don't abuse it. Don't go into this with an expectation or a desire to. Definitely don't go into it with a desire to try and get high or abuse it. It's a powerful medication, and if you use it in the right way, then you might get benefits. You might not. I don't know, but a lot of people do. So as for why I'm doing mushrooms instead of LSD, even though I said LSD might be a little bit better in the microdosing range, yeah, I'm not too sure. I guess it's because I feel like mushrooms are natural, and I feel like they might be easier going. I know that in general, LSD can be more stimulating, so I feel like I want to try mushrooms at first. I probably will try LSD eventually though, at the microdosing LSD, that is. Long term, I would like to macrodose mushrooms, but I'm definitely not ready for it yet. That's a very scary prospect. So for now, I just microdose and I see if there's any benefits. And so far, I'm pleased with what I've seen. Should you microdose? You're probably wondering. It really depends. Only you can answer that question. If you're in the position that I was, and every antidepressant, and you've tried all these antidepressants and they just don't work, then why not? It's safer than pills for sure. And more and more places are recognizing this. It's not just something for hippies and whatever. It has a legit medical use, and hopefully, maybe this video helps you. Maybe it doesn't. It's just my experience, and I wish you the best of luck.